Well, welcome to the Week 9 recording for Computer Fundamentals B. As you can see, the Week 9 goes from May 27th to June 2nd. So Week 9 is the last full week of the class. A few things to go over before I get into the lesson. 595 points to pass. You've known that all along. 695 for C minus, 795 for B minus, 895 for an A minus. Remember, the last time the work can be turned in is Tuesday, June 4th at midnight, and I am allowing no revisions after May 31st. So if I pull up the calendar over here, you can see there's May 31st, which is Friday, May 31st. After midnight that night, no more revisions for anything you turn in on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, because I won't have time to grade it and get it back to you. So get stuff turned in before May 31st if you think you might want to get it revised and graded again. Now, one thing that's really important, some of you just want to pass. You just want 595 to pass. So if you go up to 635, 645, that's a waste of time. That's still a D. So there's no difference between a 595 or a 645. So don't waste your time once you're to the point where you want the grade you want. Now, some of you might want to get like C pluses, B pluses. Then of course you will want to get more points, but just keep in mind that you're wasting your time if the work you do does not change your grade. Before you get into everything, the last couple weeks, make sure your points are correct. Contact me if you think something is wrong. Lastly, do all the exams and quizzes, even if you have to guess. So maybe there's an exam, a 30-point exam, you've never covered the topic. Go in and guess. You might get 15 out of 30. That's better than 0 out of 30. All right, the last unit is called System. This talked about computer systems. So of course for this week you're going to complete the Class Connect write-up. You have one assignment. You're going to submit this as text in the Dropbox. Then you have another assignment. I'll go over both of those. A third assignment. Then you have the final exam. So you have a Unit 10 exam, plus you have a semester exam. So there's really a lot of work to be done in Week 9. So we'll jump right down to it. So Week 9, we're in the system. And the system is talking about computer system. So we'll go first to the Class Connect write-up. And what is Unix known for? Since Unix is free, what has it resulted in? So now we're going to talk about we used Windows XP in this class, but there are other operating systems that lots of computers use. So we're looking at the difference between Windows, Mac, and Linux, which are all operating systems. So we're going to explore different operating systems, compare and contrast the different operating systems. Unix, it was developed in 1969 by Bell Labs, and over time organizations have developed their own Unix, but it's best known in academic circles and very popular in universities. So that's what Unix is, best known in academic circles and very popular at universities. Key differences between Unix and Windows. Unix it communicates with each other programs very well. It's a very simple file model. It's better for multi-user support, but it's not graphic interface. You have to put all the commands in a command line. You have to type in the words to make things happen. So if you're working on a file, you want to save it, you have to type in the words SAVE to save. Linux. Linux is a variant of Unix, and Linux is free, and so then it's very popular in academic, business, and home environments. So Linux, because it's free, this is how it's really become popular. And it's part of the GNU project, which is to give free software to people. Then of course you have Mac. Now Mac, it didn't have command interface. Mac, when it first started, was 100% graphical. and a very intuitive, right? You could always use a mouse with Mac computers, and many of you have had experience using Apple computers, Mac computers through those operating systems. Of course, much different from Windows, isn't it? And of course, Windows copied Apple's graphic user interface. So in summary, we looked at Unix and Mac. We also talked about Linux a little bit and about some of the things that they can do. So that's section 2. Let's go back to the write-up, make sure we answer those questions, explain what Unix is known for. Since Unix is free, what has it resulted in? So you need to answer those. Section 3, what a web search engine is. Listen and explain the 3 steps a web search goes through. Okay, so here we are on section 3. So when you search for something, of course, you guys have grown up doing searches on the internet, right? And we're going to start taking a look at what those things, what they are, how they work. So we're going to explore the concept of search capabilities and discuss how technology's changed our lives. So traditional searching, like if you want to search through a phone book for somebody, then you need to find their last name, and then you can find the person you're looking for in the phone book. But computers, they can sort things differently. They don't have to go in order. So there are different ways that computers can search, and that's what's really important, because searching efficiently is an extremely thing. So a search engine is a system that is designed to search as much data as possible in as little time as possible. But that's a search engine. But a web search engine, it searches far and wide across the internet. And of course, Google is an example of a web search engine. For its search engines, there's a history of them. Archie in 1990, it could search file transfer protocol sites. Then Wandex was a web search engine. Then Web Crawler came in. Lycos came in. That was one of the first ones that I used. Netscape was a popular search engine. And then they became a Netscape browser and different things like that. So you can see the whole, how they've changed over time. And of course, Google, if you look at this pie chart, Google is the largest search engine now. Okay, how do they work? They have to do 3 steps. First, they crawl the web, meaning they just walk around. The search engines, they essentially like a spider. They walk around on the internet, on the World Wide Web. Then they index what they find, and they search what they find. So a web crawler is called a spider, and it automatically follows every link that it sees. It analyzes the pages, grabs the data to index it. So, crawling the web would take a long time, right? Because web pages are always changing. But web crawlers, they have certain rules. So once they examine the web pages, then they can return the information properly. So there's web crawling as the first step, then indexing. So indexing is when the web crawlers take that information and then creates that as a new set of data. So first, the search engine crawls the web. Uh-oh. That's not good. I lost my connection here. Let's see if I can get it back up. I temporarily lost my connection, so let's go back to see where we were. Okay, so the power of searching. So we talked about a couple of these things. I think we got up to slide. So web crawling, that's the first step. So that's when it follows every link it finds. The web spider follows every link. Then it indexes. So it takes that information and creates a set of data. So that's the second thing that it does. So it creates a set of data. So it crawls the web, then it creates a set of data. When it indexes, then finally it searches that set of data and then returns to you the information that you asked for. So those are the 3 steps that a search engine goes through. Now, there's some ethical issues having to do with advertising, and here's a sample of a Google search. This is a little bit dated, but you can see the top things in the orange, those are advertisements. Over on the right, those are advertisements, and some things down here can be advertisements. And actually, the ones up here in the yellow, those are where the companies pay to get paid for placement. So, of course, nowadays when you go on the web, a lot of the thing is advertising, isn't it? Google, the index method, so it talks about how Google does a crawling and indexing, and they have a huge server farm. What that means is that they have at least 500,000 computers all over the world in different places that store web pages and analyze web pages and such. So can you imagine all the electricity and the power that's used to do all that? Then there's a search called a social search, which can search different pages that are members. It's a new development in search engine I talked about, and the thing about it is that social search would return things that are more relevant to you. Finally, this summer we explored search engines, learned how different search engines work, some challenges with search engine. Here's a discussion topic. We're not going to do the discussion topics. We've skipped them all along, haven't we? So don't worry about that. So now we're going to go on to so we're going to skip that assignment. Actually, I'll let you know if you have to do that assignment or not. I don't remember. Okay, on assignment 1, you're going to do this activity, but you're not doing it as a discussion. If I go back to the assignment for the week, you'll see right here under week 9, you're going to do that as text in the Dropbox. So you will do that assignment 1, but not as a discussion. You do it as text in the Dropbox. Okay, now we're moving into section 4. Let's go back to the write-up. Section 3, we answered all those things. Section 4, what is a driver? And list 3 possible drivers a computer might have. Explain the usefulness of Task Manager. So now we're into section 4. So in section 4, we're going to look at some of the common problems that computers might have, that you might have with computers. Identify common problems, solve some of these common problems. So the first thing is a bug. And a bug is something that causes a computer to stop working. You can see there was a northeast blackout in 2003. There was a defect in the computer circuitry. But they call them bugs because Thomas Edison possibly used the term bug as early as back in 1878. But then in World War II, operators found a computer error. A moth got trapped in a computer. So that's where the word bug came from. Different types of bug, division by 0, your computer could crash, buffer overflow, maybe you've seen messages like that, or memory leak messages, you maybe seen some of those. You don't get those so much anymore, but used to have those quite often when I first started using computers. Even back until 10 years ago, you'd have major problems like that. Of course, a crash or a hang up where your computer just stops. And that can happen if your computer, if you are using too much memory, if you have too many programs going at one time, different things like that. Blue screen of death, really don't see this happening very much, but ask your parents, and they probably remember the blue screen of death. And that would mean that you just have to shut off your computer and restart, and you've lost all your work. Device drivers. Device driver is a software that runs the operating system in the operating system and allows your Windows program to work with a particular device. So some different drivers. If you have a keyboard, you have a keyboard driver, an MP3 driver, a player driver, a video card driver, printer driver, etc. So again, this is software that allows these hardware devices to work. And you have to have the drivers or those devices won't work. That's why when you go to install a new piece of software, sometimes it'll say cannot find the driver. The device manager, this is something that your computer has, and you can, when you go into device manager, you can see everything that's running. So control panel, performance, maintenance, of course it depends on what operating system you're using. But you can see everything that's running, you can see the things that are having issues. So that's what the device manager is. So this talks more about device manager. Go through that video just to get a better explanation of what device manager does. Interrupt conflicts, you don't have these much anymore because computers, the newest Windows systems, XP, are much better. But it used to be that you could have your mouse and keyboard would conflict with each other and neither one would work. So these days you don't have to worry about those too much. Debugging and BSOD, that's a blue screen of death. But what I do when I get an error and it shows me, I'll take these words and then I'll go to the search engine and I'll search for that just to see what that error is. That can help you sometimes. Video drivers, that's the most complex driver that you have on your computer. Video drivers need to be updated because they control your screen resolution, whether you have a built-in TV tuner, all those types of things. So what I recommend is you can go in and update your drivers, get the most recent one for whatever video hardware you have, and you could have your screen would be better resolution and things like that. Adding and removing programs. Of course, you go to the control panel, start, and choose add and remove programs. And if you have programs that aren't working right or a program that you don't want anymore, make sure you add or remove it. Just don't leave it there because it takes up valuable storage space and some memory. The task manager. Task manager is part of the operating system, and it gives you information about the performance of your system and what programs are running. To start, Control-Alt-Delete, you can get the task manager. Right-click on your main window in the blank space. You can select taskbar. I don't see how you can select it there. Press Control-Shift-Escape, you can get taskbar. The taskbar will show you everything that's going on with your computer. Let's see if I can get Control-Alt-Delete. See if that will bring the taskbar up. So here's the taskbar, and you can see all the things that are running on my computer. Then I can click on something, I can end the task if I want. Go ahead and get out of that. The task manager can be very useful to show you what is running on your computer and help you turn things off that you don't want to be running. Task manager, here's another shot of it. You can see that shows the different applications that are running, and it shows the processes and all of that. So you can easily shut things down from the task manager. Here's the processes tab. What I like to do with the processes tab, I'll click it right there and then look at it, and I'll click memory usage, and I can see which things are using the most memory. Like this one example had Photoshop running, so that I could shut down Photoshop. And it has Internet Explorer running. So all you have to do is just click on it, then hit End Process. Safe mode, you can run your computer in safe mode to see what programs aren't or are working properly. Finally, summary, look at crashes, blue screen of death, common bugs, device driver issues, device manager, task manager, etc. Now this activity, what they want you to do, they want you to use the task manager. So what you will do is you're going to reboot your computer, then you're going to open up Task Manager, open up Internet Explorer. While watching the Task Manager, go search the web. Go to YouTube or something. Find how much memory was being used. Try to open up a bunch of stuff to get that to run. See if you can get Internet Explorer to crash, and you're just going to write a simple one paragraph. Then in your computer, use Device Manager and go find the brand or model of your device driver. So it's just going to be some basic information. So this is just doing a little bit of research on your own computer. Okay, so Class Connect write-up. So on what is a driver, list 3 possible drivers, explain usefulness of Task Manager. We did that. Section 5, explain what copyright is. Okay, Section 5, ethical uses of computing. Explore social uses in computing, internet safely and legally, concepts related to information security. So copyright is a legal concept that gives the author or creator of an original work exclusive ownership. That means that if I copyright something, I have ownership and nobody else can use that information without my protection. That's called as protecting intellectual rights, something created by the mind. Privacy in corporations, you'll see how, read through this and see how corporations protect themselves privately. Licensing agreements. This tells you what you can and cannot do with certain software. And there are many different types of licensing agreements. Some have more strength or power than others. And here's a sample, and you all have agreed to these types of licenses on some software, I bet. Commercial use or non-commercial. Now there is some software like this Apple Web Objects, educational users can use it, and that's different from commercial users. Copy protection is to prevent software piracy. So sometimes some copy protection is a huge long number with letters and alphabetic characters that you have to put in to install the software. It'd be hard for somebody to memorize that number. Then there's more about software protection. And it used to be that you would just get a number that would come on along with your game or your program. But then, like LucasArts had a rotating wheel with halves of a pirate face. When you started the game, it would display the picture of the pirate. You'd have to match the pirate using your wheel, do all kinds of things. So you're really trying to stop people from stealing other people's information or stealing somebody's rights to all this information. Copy protection today. Some things you can't even copy a DVD or a CD. Wii and GameCube have barcodes in their system. And read a barcode off the DVD that can't be copied very well. So you can see there are lots of different ways that things are copy protected these days. Digital rights management. Digital rights management, I mean, that's a huge thing these days in courts and things like that, because it all talks about, somebody who's authorized to use a certain piece of software. Like if you download iTunes, you can only authorize use up to 5 computers, but unlimited number of iPods. So it's really interesting how different companies have give rights to their information. Napster was a file sharing. Started out as file sharing, but then it got to be music sharing, and now it is a pay service, but it used to be free. Courts shut it down because people were taking regular songs like Beyonce and people like that, Justin Timberlake, whoever, and they were just sharing that music, sharing those files, and of course the artists, the singers, never got a penny from those files that somebody shared with somebody else. Peer-to-peer sharing. This is where you're sharing files across computers, across networks. So sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's illegal, depending on what you're sharing. So we looked at software piracy and digital rights. Okay, in this one, you're going to take a position on software piracy, file sharing, digital rights. It says one-page essay. I just wanted maybe a couple of paragraphs, so you just talk about the ethical situation, about software piracy, file sharing, etc. Let's go back to the write-up. Okay, explain what copyright is. We did that. And in section 6, why some teachers may not want you to use Wikipedia. Let's talk about that. So now let's get to section 6, finding information. So obviously we're in the information age, the digital age, and you have so much information right at your fingertips in the palm of your hands. So we're going to look how to find information, how to gather, evaluate, and use information. So first of all, in Microsoft, in the top right corner, you'll see a question mark or it says help or something. So in a lot of Microsoft programs, Microsoft Office, you can immediately find help. So the Microsoft help window, you can see how to get to it. And then you can do a search for different topics to help you with the program that you're working on. There's an answer wizard. Again, same thing in Microsoft. You've put in a search term for help, and it's come up and it's giving you what it thinks you're looking for, items you think you might be looking for. The content tab. Content tab is another way when you're in help, and you can look at the content of the help that program happens to have. So the content would be like the user's manual practically. So here's the table of contents for Microsoft Help, and you can go down, you can click on these items, and it'll pull up information about helping you with that. Then you look at it through the index method. So Microsoft has an index method, so then you can choose keywords through the index method. Now finally, if help doesn't have an answer, you can go to the Microsoft website. I often just go to Google and I'll do a search like, how can I put the date in Excel, and do it in Google, and I might find something other than Microsoft that has the answer. Search engine, this is just what I said right here. How do I do something like that? And lots of search engines can give you those answers much more easily than a Microsoft website. Okay, Wikipedia. Why might some people not want you to use it? Well, Wikipedia, it's open content, meaning that anybody can post anything on there. So for instance, the other day the Miami Heat won their playoff game. So somebody can go in there under the listing for Miami Heat in Wikipedia, and they would update, and they might get the score of the game wrong. Or might put the LeBron James scored a different amount of points than he actually did. So that's just open public information. So lots of people think that Wikipedia is not good in that regard. But what has happened over the years is that people have been policing Wikipedia. So the general public goes in and they correct problems. But your teachers may not want you to use it because it is open content and there could be doubt about the accuracy of the information. So in summary, we looked at Microsoft Help and internet-based help. So review all of this. This is what we did in the system. All of those things we looked at in the last few items. Finally, the unit exam, and of course the unit exam is always over here on the left. If I click on Unit 10 Exam Preview, there's the exam. Go find the answers to this first before you do the exam. So that's all the work for week 9. That's essentially the end of the class. The final days, week 10, is just to check your work, turn in any missing work. Of course, you don't get to do any revisions on it. So that's all the work that you have for the rest of the semester, for the rest of the block. I look forward to your work coming in. I look forward to you raising your grades. Remember, at a minimum, 595 points. Please get to that point. And at this point, don't ask for extra credit. If you're begging for extra credit, then I suggest you go in and do work for regular credit first. Get that stuff done. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Bye.